Now, put this together. I thought this was neat. Tom Pelissero wrote an article, and I went through and kind of grabbed the cliff notes. So all the credit goes to him. Go check out the full article. Kind of wordy. I love that you could take AI and really just kind of break things down into a very a smaller portion where you can actually understand what it's saying and get the important points in it. But the article here is titled 2025 NFL Draft, the most unpredictable first round in years. So here's some of the points that Tom Pelissero made. It's just basically the overview from him. The 2025 NFL Draft is expected to be highly unpredictable, with fewer players receiving first-round grades compared to a typical year, which is typically 18 to 22 players. Okay, this year it said a team executive noted little difference between players ranked from 10 to 40. Early on in the process, Emilio, way early, Daniel Jeremiah said 20 to 60, didn't he, if I remember correctly? I think that was the number he used. So this executive said 10 to 40. And what that means is you've got 10 prospects that are at the top of the board, right? And then from 11 to 40 or 11 to 39, however you want to look at it, those guys are kind of closely graded together. I guarantee you they got them separated deeper than that. But that's kind of how this lays out, which would suggest, as we said early on, if after 10 everybody's kind of the same, trade back a couple times, get multiple swings in that little sweet spot there, right? So 5, I don't even want to look. And I made a joke about drugs, and I didn't tell them what's going on.
Hold on, wait. Just, you think smoking drugs is cool? You think doing alcohol is cool? Michael Scott.
Was that when he was talking to Scott Stotts?
Yes. No. Was it
different?
I think it's a different one.
All right, 5 potential surprise first-round picks. This is Tom Pelissero, what he's hearing, reading the tea leaves, right? Carson Schwesinger out of UCLA. We've got him in the 54 spot, but he's hearing he may be a first-round pick. Former walk-on, led the FBS with 90 solo tackles. He was the Butkus Award finalist. Strengths are speed, coverage, 3-down ability, instincts, and character. Could be targeted by teams needing an off-ball linebacker late in round 1. What do you guys think about that, man? He's 54 on our board. And again, our board is very safe. It's very, hey, the guys who performed multiple years and over about 5 different sources that we just named off, they all agree this dude should be high, as opposed to, 1 or 2 love him. They're going to drop on our board a little bit. So what do you think?
You know, it's crazy. Emilio, I think maybe, I don't know if you told me this or maybe one of Clay did, but it was a recent Ross Tucker episode. And he was talking about how there was a guy named, I think it was Kane Medrano, who everybody was so high on going into the beginning of the season. And Ross Tucker was one of the few games that he actually got to call. He said he called it, and nobody talks about Carson Schweizer. It was like, it was a non-existent type of player. And then as the season progressed, Kane kind of fell off, and all of a sudden every single pregame people started talking about Carson Schwesinger. And just the way that how he was so fluid, and the weird instincts, and the way that it just was kind of effortless at times, being able to avoid blockers, being able to take on blockers if they do get to him, all that kind of stuff. Cam Medrano now, like, he's fallen completely out of the realm, right? I mean, he's maybe a UDFA type prospect. Where do you guys first have him, and then where do you have Carson?
Cam Medrano. I think I just did something.
Kane is 288 on our board, 269 currently on PFF's board. So I mean, he really did fall out. But I do remember that pod. He was talking. He's like, yeah, they were all hyped up about Kane, and then who is this guy? Who is this 49 guy? Like, I mean, and he really did just take off.
What's the Dane Brugler number on him? I want to say it's really low. Emilio,
Kane.
What is it?
On Kane.
Kane. Yeah, Kane.
He's 128.
128. So that's somewhere, what, a 5th rounder, I believe?
Yep.
So he's got like a 5th round talent on him, Jacob. So there you go. So again, Carson Schwesinger is a name to look for. Tim, would you be okay if Goody had a 1st round grade on Carson Schwesinger to go, yeah, I'll take him with the 23rd pick, or does that sound just absolutely insane, man?
It wouldn't be my first choice, but I don't think it's
probably wouldn't be my 3rd choice.
I've heard even more insane suggestions than going with a prospect like this. But no, yeah, I wouldn't take him at 23.
Yeah, I'm with
you. He also only had 1 year. Like, he only has 1 year of PFF grades, because his other 2 in 23 he played 17 snaps with a 54.9, and 23 he did that, and in 22 he had 84 snaps at a 63.7.
perfect example of why he's a little lower on our board, because again, we want those dudes that. Now, let me give you an example though of, that's the pro of our board. Like, hey, it's safe proof in that regard, right? You're going to get the more consistent player higher on our board. But the con in it, last year, Edgerrin Cooper balled out for 1 year, right? I mean, he was dominant. The year before brung him down a little bit on our board, I think into the 40s, I believe. And he ended up being, now, obviously, Goody took him right around where we thought he'd probably be taken, somewhere in that range. But still, hindsight being 2020, I think everybody would look up and go, Edgerrin Cooper, the best linebacker in the draft last year. Probably worthy of a first-round pick if other GMs had an opportunity to go back and redraft. So next on the list, looky here, boys, in the 21 spot, Emeka Egbuka, wide receiver out of Ohio State, slot receiver with a school record 205 catches, 2,868 yards, 24 touchdowns in 50 games. You see that slot receiver? That's Tom Pelissero talking. Obviously, Jacob had to go there. But like Greg Cosell talked about over and over and over, you got a guy who can play moving Z and really, really fits into a Sean McVay type offense, a wide receiver that can kind of play all over the place. Durable. He missed only 3 games throughout his entire career, I believe that was. Explosive, compared favorably to Jackson Smith and Jigba, who was a 2023 first rounder as well, likely to be a first round pick. We've talked about Emeka Egbuka a lot. I want to go around the horn to see if anybody else's opinion has changed. But before we do that, that's going to do it for hour 1. So everybody listening on the pod, we will continue this conversation with Emeka Egbuka into hour 2. We appreciate y'all.
For those of you listening on the pod,
welcome into hour 2. Let's continue this. What do you guys think about Emeka Egbuka? Has anything changed on the front for you guys? We got him in the 21 spot. Obviously, the Packers top 30 visit, all that good stuff. Let's start with you this time, Tim. What do you think, man? I'd be totally okay with Egbuka at 23, man. And we kind of jumped on him about a month ago. I feel like we were leading the charge there because I remember catching some flack for it. I still got the scars from me going, man, Emeka Egbuka might be the pick. Then when they did the top 30 visit, everybody shut up. So, but anyway, what do you think, Tim?
I would agree. And there, he feels like the most likely to be there too at that point of the first round. You know what I mean? We talk about T-Mac all the time. T-Mac's going to probably, I don't want to make sweeping predictions here, but I see him going, inside the top 20 probably in this draft, depending on how things stack out. So yeah, if Egbuka's on the board at 23, I would have no problem if they took him at all. Of course, again, that I don't think Goody's going to double dip and take my boy Jaden Higgins in the second round, so I'd have to wave goodbye to my draft crush. But Egbuka's that dude. So yeah, long answer to a short question. Yes, I would be cool with him at 23. What about you, Excelio?
Yeah, I've always liked Egbuka, man. I think he's a dog. If it really happened, I would be crazy happy, but I think it'd be kind of like a Christian Watson type thing where, maybe they wanted to get back into the first round, couldn't figure it out, get into the front of round 2, grab him and get squared away and go.
I can see that. Yep. I wouldn't be surprised either if he's the top receiver taken.
Yeah, right.
Wouldn't surprise me one bit. If people do genuinely have concerns about Tet, I could see them just going, all right, you know what, Egbuka's the safer pick here. And that's really the story there when you talk about those 2 receivers, right? To tell 2 different receivers. You got a guy who's got extremely high upside in Tet McMillan, but, people are truly concerned about, hey, he might not love football. You guys know how we feel about that, and I'll just leave that alone. Then maybe he drops below, and Egbuka's that dude, like Greg Cosell said, you can bank on him being a 10-year vet. Just one of those dudes. Day one, he's going to come in, be a professional. He's going to be able to pick up the route tree early. Love the quad pads there too. You see the cross on that? Pretty sweet, ain't it?
Absolutely. That is crazy. We went from just the 3 ripples across it to now they got designs on them. And then even in Madden, you can pick you want the little honeycomb ones or do you want the old school? Like, come on now.
Yeah, definitely. All right, next on the list here from Tom Pelissero is Jared Wilson. We've got him in the 104 spot out of Georgia. He was a junior, came out early, obviously, center out Georgia. Tom Pelissero's here, and he may go in the first round. Here's what he says. Top center prospect, allowed 0 sacks and 511 pass block snaps per PFF. Quick, tested well at the combine, though not as strong as some. Expected day 2 pick. Could go late in round 1. I would be a little bit surprised goes in
breaking
round
news, Clayton. He's at 100 on our board right now.
Oh, is he really? Wow.
Mr. Excelio updated our board live
Go.
on the show.
Look
He's
at y'all.
in the 100 spot now.
Tell you, man, sometimes I think we know what the hell we're doing on here. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm not 100%.
Like, we actually have a board put together. Come on, this pod, like, what?
All right. What do y'all think about Jared Wilson? Do y'all think absolutely no way he slides into the first round? Emilio, if you're looking at the board, I don't know if you are or not, but what brings him down a little lower where we're, the fact that he says he may climb into the first round would suggest most people have him at least in the 60s on their board, right?
Right.
Why do we have him at 104 now?
We have PFF no score in 22, 23. He was 64 overall last year, 11th. PFF big board had him at 103, and consensus had him at 143. So those aren't helping. 33rd team put him in at 134. Dane Brugler had him at 83. He doesn't have a number from DJ yet, but he does have that -5 RAS. I really think it's going to be based on team needs. If Zabel goes and a team needs a center and they're worried about anything else, I think you pull the trigger on it. I mean, it's coming from a strong program in Georgia, knows what he's doing. He played there. I think he strictly played there.
I believe so too. Yeah.
So I mean, he's a dog. If you need somebody to shore up your center position, I could definitely see it going. Definitely a reach, but you always got to protect the high dollar QB.
Yeah. What do you think, Tim?
87 on PFF's big board now, so he's moving up quickly, and man, a lot to work on. I'm seeing notes on his football IQ and anticipation, things that he needs to work on with more snaps, more reps. But 6'3", 310, barely 22 years old. Yeah, I would not be mad if this guy was a Packer at all.
Yeah. So there you go, Jared Wilson in the 104 spot on our board. Next, another top 30 visit for the Packers, Tyleik Williams. As of the creation of this article, he was 35th on our board. Emilio, you cut me off and let me know if he's changed. Tyleik Williams, Ohio State defensive tackle senior, stands out in a deep defensive line class due to his size, 6'2" and 7/8", 334 pounds. He's played 51 games and run-stopping ability. Hamstring injury at the pro day, limited pre-draft process, but not seen as long-term issues. You guys know he fell down, but his 10-yard split was scorching for a man his size, which means he's got that quickness, that burst. Hearing Ryan do his defensive line breakdown on him today, just talking about how much he really liked Tyleik Williams and how he's a kind of a sure tackler too, if I remember correctly. But is he still in the 50 or the 35 spot for us?
He is. Yep, he's leading that tier. It's just him, Xavier Watson, Matthew Golden in that 30 to 35 lot.
Got it. And Tim, it says here he had 6 top 30 visits, including with teams picking late in round 1. What do you think about Tyleik? Tyleik's one of my prospects that if Goody took him at 23, I'd be totally fine with it.
Me too. Absolutely. I want D-line early in this draft. And it is interesting to see that these teams who have like late picks in round 1 are all taking top 30 visits with him. So it's going to be tough. If he's on the board, that's a guy you got to think about. I like a lot of what I see from him.
Yeah. What about you, Emilio? How you feel about it, man?
Yeah, strong, powerful guy. If we need that TJ Slayton replacement, I think he's it. I mean, DJ had him 30th, 33rd, 47th, and Dane had him 33rd. Greg Cosell absolutely loved him. I'm not mad at that at all. I mean, if they Packers want him, that's a boy that we can bring in and put a G on.
Definitely. This next name, I'm damn proud to say that we were way ahead of the curve on Tyler Shough. Like we talked about him months ago. And again, it was because keeping our ear to the streets, the Greg Cosell streets, and knowing Greg Cosell saying, hey, I got this guy as my second best quarterback. He's still in the 98 spot on our big board. But I just remember us having that conversation.
94 now.
94 now. I remember us having that conversation that, man, Greg Cosell saying this dude's going to be a first-round talent. Not he's going to be a first-round pick. He's saying he's a first-round talent. He doesn't project. He doesn't predict where guys are going to be taken. He does not build lists in order. He just simply watches the tape, gives a scouting report, and moves on, right? And he's like, This is my second-best quarterback. Like, meaning after watching the tape, he loved Cam Ward. By the way, Greg Cosell was all over Cam Ward back in the summer last year when no one else was. And it was hilarious. when the draft coverage started, he's like, Greg Cosell said something to the effect with Ross Tucker. I'm going to laugh when all of a sudden Cam Ward becomes that dude that separates himself. The tape has been there. He said, I did his write-up last summer. I haven't even touched it since. And I'm telling you, this dude has elite level traits. And then he said Tyler Shough is number 2. So here's what it says. Emerged as a next-tier quarterback behind Cam Ward, competing with Shedeur Sanders, Jackson Dart, and Jalen Milroe. Career stats, 62.7% completion percentage, 3,195 yards, 23 touchdowns, 6 interceptions in 2024 at Louisville. Strength is size at 6'4" and 7'8", so basically 6'5", 219. Accuracy, processing. Concerns is age. He's 25 years old. Of course, you can look at Bo Nix and what happened there. Injury history. Collarbone, I'm not worried about. Shoulder, I think it was on his left arm, I believe. I could be wrong. And then the leg is what you're most concerned about. But then, again, he goes into the 40 or goes into the combine and runs a 4.6 40, the same as Aaron Rodgers. At 6'5" is just insane, man. It says could be a first-round pick if teams believe in his potential as a long-term starter. Anything you guys want to add to Tyler Shough, man? It's going to be interesting to see where he goes. I can just see us being there at the draft on Thursday night, sitting there on the live stream. And by the way, guys, make sure you sub to the channel. We will be going live for the first, second, and third round. It's going to be a hell of a draft party we're going to put on. It's going to be a great time. I could see us being sitting there at about, 28 or 29, and here there's a trade and somebody jumps up in the first round and takes Tyler Shough.
Yeah, wouldn't shock me. He was fun to watch in the Senior Bowl, and I'll tell you, I've got him in my mind's eye higher than Jackson Dart right now. Dart has fallen for me in this respect. So if we do end up, grabbing a quarterback in this draft, maybe Tyler Shough falls on draft day and we end up stealing him later. It's a possibility. The best time to take one is when you don't, really need one. Ted Thompson 101, right? So I think there's a lot to like about Tyler Shough, other than obviously the injury history and the age. That's a bit of a knock. But you look at the numbers and you look at the game tape on him. He's fun to watch, man.
Yeah, definitely.
4 degrees this man has. So I also gave him the little graduation cap. Yes, but I mean, smart guy. That's why you get the processing. Mechanics could be there. He's got the frame for it. I mean, that's a prototypical QB right there. If we wanted someone to stand in the pocket and spin it.
Yep,
definitely. All right, so there you go again. Tom Pelissero kind of talking about what he's hearing and these guys that may slide into the first round. Tyler Shough, quarterback out of Louisville. Tyleik Williams, Ohio State defensive tackle. Jared Wilson, center out of Georgia. Emeka Egbuka, wide receiver out of Ohio State, and Carson Schwesinger, linebacker